But really, we should start with United because Stu and Mark Ogden will join us after. The signing of Sancho and Varane really have been the most exciting things that we've had so far in the Premier League.
Yeah, they're two good players on paper, two good signings for Manchester United, I would say. I think Varane complements Maguire perfectly. You know, he's got that little bit of pace. He can read the game quite well. I think he's a top-class defender. Maguire's good on the ball and will come out with it better than Varane will. So I think it's a good combination. Sancho, depends which Sancho you get.
Yeah.
The one that started last season for Dortmund, who was very poor, I thought, made bad decisions, didn't go past his man enough times, didn't create too much, or the Sancho we saw at the end of the season, who was outstanding. But of course, where does he fit into the Manchester United team?
Okay, what do you think? Where does he fit?
I think obviously United have done some good business. They've done it earlier, which is a big thing. In the past, they've got to the last week of the window and been a bit in chaos. But I think this time they've actually done it quickly, and that's the good thing. That whether Varane starts the season, I'm not sure. He might not play the Leeds game the first weekend, but it gives them a sense of stability and consistency, and I think that's a good thing. And Stuart's right. You know, Varane does give them an upgrade at the back. Varane and Maguire, for me, has the ability to become I want, because it's to say title-winning defence, but it's the start of it, and I think it gives Maguire that centre half alongside that he can trust. I don't think Maguire's ever had that at United. He's not trusted Lindelof or Bailly or Jones, and I think if you have trust between your two centre halves, that makes such a massive difference. I think it could also have a positive effect on David De Gea if he starts the season. De Gea again hasn't had defenders in front of me he could trust. So Varane and Maguire, two experienced top-class centre-halves, makes United better. Makes United better as a midfield because they don't have to drop as deep. So all in all, this signing could be transformative for United. In terms of Sancho, I think, Sancho makes United better going forward, every time. They've had issues up front in the last couple of seasons. I think, whether it's Martial, Daniel James, Marcus Rashford, nobody's really kind of cracked that right side of the front three. So the good signings for United, but I think now that the priority now is to get players out because they've got 6 centre-halves on the books with around 7 if you can't Scott McTominay. So they need to move players out. And if they do that, they could bring in more players like Kieran Trippier, Camavinga. There's players that can bring in to make them even stronger. But right now, I still think they're a little bit short of being a title-winning team.
Okay, but if we look at it on paper, boys, so you'll have Henderson or De Gea in goal, which Henderson is pretty reliable, and De Gea, if he goes back to his best level, is a really good goalkeeper. Then a back four of Shaw, Maguire, Varane, and Wan-Bissaka right back until Trippier arrives, for example, Oggy. Then you play Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, and let's say one of Fred or McTominay in midfield, and then up front you've got Rashford when he's back, for example, Sancho, and then Cavani up front. This is a pretty good-looking team, right?
It's a good-looking team. I'd love to have seen that team with Cavani 5 years ago when he was at his very best. Cavani still is past his best. He's a great movement in the box, but he's not going to hold up the play. He's not going to be the player he was when he was at Napoli and he was for PSG. You still need the wide players to perform well. And the problem that Manchester United have had is when teams have dropped deep and the wide players, usually been Rashford and Greenwood, have come far too deep to get the ball. Instead of staying up front and getting close to the centre forward, they've dropped too deep to get the ball. And that comes down to the coach as well. Hopefully, with Sancho in the side, he's got the ability to get hold of the ball, high up the field, go past people and make things happen. And other players can then get into the box.
Okay, is that title challenger team?
I don't think it's a title challenging team. I really don't. And maybe it's because I think City have got to set the bar so high. They won it last season in second game, so let's be honest. I do think that they will add to the squad with Grealish and or Harry Kane. I think that takes City further away. But even if they don't add those players, I still think City is stronger than Man United. And I think Liverpool as well will be stronger with Van Dijk coming back. So I just doubt United's resolve in the big games. Last season when it mattered, they didn't win any of the games. Leipzig in the Champions League, PSG in the Champions League, City in the Carabao Cup, Leicester in the FA Cup. All the big games they had to win, they didn't do it. So does Sancho and Varane make that difference, that kind of mentality difference? I'm not sure. It really needs, for me, a world-class holding midfielder. If you're going to play 4-3-3, can you rely on McTominay or Matic or Fred to be that guy? I think McTominay's got a lot of potential, but the other two, Matic is past his best, and Fred, I don't think he's ever had his best, has he? I mean, he's not good enough, basically. So I think United need to find something to solve that problem before they can be a title-winning team.
And then we always go back to Solskjaer anyway, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's got a new contract. They've given him a new contract. My reservation on him, I think we've seen a bit of progress in the last season. There's things that they've done better, but I still think there's a lot more for him to do with that team.
Absolutely. I put him in the same category as Gareth Southgate. I think he's a good man manager. He sort of gets on with the players. He manages the board quite well, and he's good with the press. Is he a top-class coach? I don't think he is, because, as Oggy just said, in the big games, when you have to make the big decisions, when you need to change things, he hasn't been able to do that well enough over the course of his tenure.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.